Welcome everyone to episode 181 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Penteleresco. I write stuff and podcast too. Before I continue, maybe I should change that. I could just create stuff and happen to podcast too. What do you think about that? But anyway, welcome to this episode. My guest is Neven-Pugh. Now, you may not have heard of her, and it's really too bad because she is an amazing talent. She's a poet, a writer, and a historian, and she's really, really smart. I met her actually when I was interviewing Ron at the War Museum. She was right beside him, selling her books, her art, and I talked to her really briefly, and so I am amused by her a little bit, and I'm not going to lie. There's definitely a little amusement on my end. I come off, I think, much more frank and forward than she's used to. And she's amused by it. I'm sometimes not sure what to do with it, I think, but she's very amused by it. And I'm amused by her, too. The thing I gathered from her is she has this incredible mind. She really does. She makes some very interesting connections. History is her calling. I don't know how much this actually translates in the conversation, but she's such a historian. And her head and what the connections she sees is really, really cool. I really dig that about her. And like I said, I will say this, Jane Evan, if you are listening to this, I wish that I could have filmed you because your reactions, some of them were truly priceless. I enjoy interacting with her. And hopefully I'll get on the show again sometime, but let's get to that conversation. We had the first time, okay? All right. I've turned this on.
Okay.
If there's anything incriminating you want to say, make it good. Nothing incriminating? No baby seals? No stealing ice cream trucks? Ice cream from an ice cream truck? No lunch money? Nothing? You don't know how to answer that. I told you, I don't take myself very seriously. I find... Here's the thing, and I don't understand this fully myself. I'm just a dude for a reporter, having casual conversations with people who, in all seriousness, do amazing, incredible things. Yet, when I turn the recorder on, they get intimidated for like I'm going to judge them or something. And I don't really know why that is. So this is why I'm part of the reason why I am so silly. Because this way it's like, you know what? He's not trying to hurt me, judge me, condemn me. I mean, I couldn't do this job if I was very judgmental anyway. I couldn't because I meet all kinds of people. Like I meet people like you who are quiet, shy, and are secretly plotting things in the back of their head. Right? And to some people that are more upfront, more open-minded. I mean, there's a benefit to, there's a curse to that a little bit. Sometimes I get access to information I do not know what to do with. Right, but I've learned a long time ago that everybody kind of has their own path, and I tend to just my job on this, because this is my decision how I chose to do this, is who are you? Because that is interesting, and everybody's got a story. One person says I'm a collector of stories, and they're not entirely wrong on this, but I like the real stuff, right? For example. The name you have on here is Neven-Pugh. Please tell me I said that
you
right.
Did.
Yes, yeah, right. But when I look at so she has a day job. She has a really cool day job.
It's a volunteer job.
Oh, it's a volunteer.
I actually work there.
Yeah. It's a volunteer job, and this is where I met her, right? And on that thing is the thing Nevi, which tells me that there's a story. So that's where I'm going to start.
Okay.
What's the story behind Nevi as a nickname?
That's very recent.
Yes.
So, like, I'm,
It's okay, this won't bite you, I promise.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, like,
Oh, come on, there's gotta be a reason. Let me tell you, you want to hear a nickname story of mine? I'll give you a nickname story of mine. Once upon a time, people used to call me Mr. Pants. I don't know why. This is how it just started as a joke, and I just went with it. And it oddly ended up me being beaten up by small children. It's what made me so strong. But it's okay. It's a story. I digress. You're not quite sure how to deal with this, are you? almost feel like. So anyway, the point I'm getting across is we all have our own names, and if you chose to name yourself, you wouldn't be the first person I've interviewed that's chosen to give themselves a nickname. The interesting thing is why.
Well, in terms of like the book, because I hyphenated, I used initial, and that was kind of based on J.K. Rowling, because I read that the reason she did that was because Rowling, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the reason she did that was because she was told that boys don't want to read books by girls.
Yes. So. That's changed a little bit, but yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it has, but the time that I read that, it made 15. So, so it's, and then Nevi was just kind of like, I don't know, my friend kind of came up with it, and I don't know.
No, that's okay. There's no wrong answer here. Okay.
It's just simpler. Like, I don't know.
It's simpler. It's simpler.
It's like I like my name. I have nothing wrong. Like,
I didn't say you had anything.
No, I know you didn't. I'm just confirming that. Like, it's not that I don't like my name. I do like my name very much. But it's just kind of like having that is kind of like you step into that, and then you're not as shy, because it's almost like not a stage name, but like
a persona. Kind of.
I'm the same person. Like,
yes.
I don't change who I am. But it's just like,
it's like you're giving yourself permission to be like, okay,
to be outgoing and to not like, okay, because usually I'm really shy, but in this role
it gives you, okay, that's cool, and that gives you a sense of confidence. All right.
Yeah. Kind of weird.
It's not that weird. No, like legit, it's not that weird. Like people like getting in front of people. Not me anymore, because everything you can possibly imagine has happened to me. So it's like I'm past the point where I fear embarrassment on the stage. Mm-hmm. But even not like nerves are a very big part of going out there and saying, hey, this is what I have this book, I read this, I worked my ass off to create this product, mm-hmm. right? And it takes guts to share it. It really does. And I'm imagining this is your first series, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So this is for you, kind of where you're learning how to do how you want to be, not just as a writer, but how your public I'm using persona, and I don't mean the video game, but I mean your public persona. This is how you want to be perceived. Is that an Is that an accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot more articulate than I put it.
Yes. It's okay. It's okay.
I'm much more articulate, like thinking, like brain to hand connection, really good. Like if I write by hand, then I can like be articulate, but like brain to mouth is not that.
So I'm going to ask this: Did you start drawing? Like when you started your like what came like it? You sound like some of my more visual friends, right? Mm-hmm. So. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm just asking, did you start off originally as like an artist, or did you write?
Both.
It was you've always been both? Yeah. So what do you do? Illustrate. What do you do?
Well, when I was younger, I did like cartooning. I draw my dog.
That's awesome.
So I don't draw as much now, except those cards that you saw.
Which are cool, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the book covers, and right now I'm doing illustrations for the newsletter a little bit at the museum. So, but I don't draw as much as I necessarily like.
You'd like to do more if you could?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I'd like to have like books for younger kids. So like children's. Like picture books.
Oh man, I'm a big sucker for pop-up books, even today.
I don't know what a pop-up.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I get it though. I love. Cool thing about kids books is kids books have this unique. See, I'm at heart, I'm a comic book guy. I love comics, right? That's a big part of how I've grown up. I like my Dr. Seuss thing. We talked about it off the air. Is my argument is Dr. Seuss is arguably the greatest graphic novelist of all time. I think because he had this, like all good children's books, there's this natural merger between illustration and creative writing, and they actually work in tandem, not separate. Like you can take the words out of the pictures and you still have a story, but the words just add a dimension to it that really, really shine. And children's books, I think, do it better than any other genre. So, I mean, they're cool, basically is what I'm saying. So.
Yeah. My paternal grandmother, she would give us children's books, like right up till when we were 12. She was still giving us picture books, but she would always buy like the really well illustrated ones, like by Janet Brett, and like just super detailed. So that really affected, my view of books.
Yeah.
And so like I have some friends who are really good illustrators, so I'm hoping to, like, and family members, so I'm hoping to team up with them to.
That'd be cool.
Put some poems to books.
Kind of like what I did. Maybe.
But like one poem in like a kid's, like a picture book, right? You read at bedtime sort of thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun ways of doing it, and so you do like a whole bunch of stuff. Like you do poetry, you do novels. I'm looking at The Dragon, The Pupil, which is the first book in the Dragon Pale series. It's literally right under where my recording device is right this minute. So, what's easier for you, prose or poetry?
Writing for me, like my mom jokes that I was born with a pencil in my hand. Like that's just kind of like breathing for me. So like if I have a scene in my head or a poem, so long as I write it down, like while it's there, then it's like just second nature. Like it's just, and I'm not saying that to be boastful or anything. It's just like some people are really good at creating conversation or drawing. And so for me, it's just like, well, I can write a poem if you give me 5 words. But
Man, so when I get to the point I'm doing a video, I'm gonna call you up on that. You know that, right? She's not looking down. She's looking down, like, no. I think that's really cool, though. Like, I think that's really, 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 really cool. So, but so you've been writing since you. So when did you make that decision in your head? It's like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Was that at a very young age, or did you just? In my case, I discovered it. I was always writing all the time since I was a little kid too, but it didn't occur to me. It's like I can do this for a living until I was like 13. I'm a little slow on the uptake, but the thing of it is, right? I've always was kind of doing it, and then one day I just realized I could do it. So did that happen for you, or just something you've always wanted to do?
Well, we would write stories in school. So like the first time I wrote a story in school was like grade 1, which I don't know how any teachers like decipher what grade 1 and 2 students write, because I found it the other day and it's like, what am I saying? Like I don't, full words represented by 3 letters sort of thing. But so like grade 2 I think is when I realized, like grade 1 I was already like wanting to do like really big elaborate stories. My partner would chop it up really small.
So you're like, let's do this big giant thing, and your partner's like, I'm scared. Can we go like to this?
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah. So, but it was in grade 5 that I learned about Christopher Paolini, who wrote the Eldest books, right? And he published at 15. Now at the time I didn't know that he had like more connections to publishing. Like I think maybe his parents were in it or something.
His parents own the publishing house, yes.
Yeah. So I didn't realize that part, but I was like, I can do that. When I was like 11. So then I was batted around some ideas and started the Dragon Eye when I was 13, and that was the one that stuck. So
I like you more now.
Why?
I like 11-year-old. I'm just like, I can do it, and I'm just gonna do it, and the book's here, so you did it. I mean, that's impressive. Like honestly. A lot of people talk, like one of the things that I find as I'm getting older / wiser is a lot of people talk about what they say they're going to do, and what they actually do is a very different thing. And I see it more and more, the fact that you can be people and actually you're like, you at 11 years old had more backbone than some people I know now in their 30s, their 40s, and their 50s. It's impressive.
Well,
I mean, honestly, you made a decision. You stuck the course. You probably went through a lot of trial and error, because I know learning how to write a novel is pretty steep curve.
Yeah, it was funny because by the end it was like when I started, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be published by 15 and be famous sort of thing. But by the time I got to the end, it was I say so much. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just don't. Just talk. Don't worry.
But by the time the book was done, like a year and a half, 2 years later, it was much more about like just telling the story and sharing these characters. And so like I don't even care anymore about like how successful I become. It's more like these are the stories I want to tell, and like I'm very passionate about that. So
I'm gonna ask a hard question now. It's a hard one, right? Because this was the line between when I was an okay writer to I think I'm actually an okay writer now, right? Is every story, no matter how elaborate it is, says something about what, like, I find that my story is told in my stories. And obviously I'm not Mary suing anything. I sincerely hope I'm not Mary suing anything anyway. But the idea, but the whole, like, the things that really matter to me in this moment, in this time, definitely impact my writing, like what I'm writing, what I'm saying, and what I care about. See, I'm mumbling too, so don't feel so bad, right? But the thing I'm asking you is, so what did you say here? What were you trying to say here, or will that spoil it too much? But do you have like a no?
No, I think with the Dragon Tale series, very much is like based on the importance of friends and family, and how you can be related by blood or smile. So friends can be your family, right, and family can be your friends. So I think that's the main theme, because it's it starts with an orphan who's all alone, and who ends up in this really inclusive group of people who love him and that he loves in return. So I think it's that particular story is about that. And I mean, I've been really fortunate in having like a really good family and great friends. So that's, I think, reflective, like that's a value for me.
Yeah. So and that's what you're talking about here. So I'm assuming you're like me, you have like 8 series in your head, kind of fighting for your attentions, like pick me.
A little bit.
So how long is this series planned? Is it 3 books and done, or you got like?
I have one more book that I've been really blocked with, but that's mainly because I entered university and I've had a lot more demands on my time.
So what are you taking at university?
One being history major and a certificate in heritage management.
Nice. Yeah, so because your poems, which is the other book I have here, right? 636 reasons why, or 636 reasons why. Hopefully, I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Right. One. Yeah. It deals with actual real history, right? Mm-hmm. So, where did your fascination with history come from?
That again has been something that has just been in my life the whole time. Like, I've always liked like just the historical genre, and I've been in traveling, like going to places that have more history, like Germany and France. Like you see the history when you're there, even the East Coast of Canada. But we had my dad's interested in history, so we had a lot of books. So I would sneak into his den and steal a book, because I'm not like, I don't, how do I say this? I don't know.
No, just let it come out, don't worry. Yeah, just let it come out, don't worry about it.
So like, I was super shy in the beginning about being interested in war history, because war is like, it's very violent and it's very masculine, and I'm not a girly person. I've never been super girly, but I've never been like a tomboy either. So for a very long time, I was very shy about writing poems based in, the First War. But then once I, decided this is a passion of mine, and I'm not going to, be shy about it anymore, then that really grew, because I went to Vimy Ridge when I was 14, and that was kind of the cementing experience.
What happened at Vimy Ridge?
Just being at Vimy.
Or like what about? Just like what about it? Like what was that moment like where it's like I can do this? Or what?
Well, being at Vimy wasn't so much about the writing. It was just the sense of being there because so much happened there, and it's such a pivotal moment in Canadian history and the war. I guess that story element you were talking about earlier, being interested in people's stories. So I was 14 and walking through the cemetery, and on a lot of the gravestones, the age would be 17, sometimes 16. They'd managed to sneak in, sort of thing. 18, and that's not very far away from 14. So, and now I'm older than that age, so it was very moving to realize, these guys weren't much older than I was, right? Because when you see the pictures, they all look so grown up, and then...
Well, yeah. Well, that's because, when you're in a very life and death situation for any kind of period of time, you have to grow up, or you die. And even growing up, the thing about war, the unfair part about war is, even if you mature and you find with the strength to go and live, you still might not survive. There's a lot of... Any veteran will tell you there's a bit of luck in surviving any of those things. And so it's very somber. I think it's a very somber thing because it's like, I have no context. My grandmother, she was born in Malta right during World War II. So her first 5 years of her life, she heard bombs. She was in caves hearing bombs. That was her life for 5 years. Right? Now, if a rock face had given out, or something bad had happened, that would have been it. And that's that's like life and death. Like when you're dealing with that, sometimes it's just, this is the way it is, and that's it. And sometimes it's like, you see people find themselves in those situations. Because the one thing about a life and death situation is you can't run and hide from yourself at all. You have nowhere to go. It's either you will do this, or there is nothing else. You will do this, right? And that's it, right? And it's a very like I said, it's a very humbling and sobering thing when you realize I have no experience in combat and war, but as I've gotten older, like again, that wiser thing may or may not exist, but as I've gotten there, I've recognized the fact that there are people who have at 18 gone out in service and they've come back very different people than when they started, and like there's nothing to quantify that. So that's my experience anyway. So so for you it's like, so that made you, did that motivate you in the sense to like push forward with your goals, your dreams? Because they didn't have a long life.
No, it did spark the passion to, really look into that era more so. Some people might argue it's an obsession.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But so I think, but nowadays, like definitely, like I don't know.
No, just come on. Oh, you lost your thought? No, it's just you just like I like myself personally, I understand obsession a little bit. It's just kind of, I think every creative person has things they're obsessed with, right? Just my big obsession is time, because I recognize like time for me is it goes one way, it doesn't go backwards at all. So if so I have to choose how to use my time. Again, sometimes you got to do the smart thing and take care of yourself. Younger me wasn't always that smart about that, but now I'm older, it's like, okay, I'll take a minute to get myself breathe, but I also am like, but I have so many things I want to do, and that's a big part of who I am. And so everything I'm doing, whether it's producing a podcast, whether it's writing books, whether I might be dabbling in some publicity soon, just because I might be good at it. I think I'm good, and we'll find out, right? But I'm not afraid to try, and I'm one of those people that just goes, I'd rather have 1,000 regrets doing something than that one regret not doing it, because we're always wondering. That's a big obsession with me. So we all have them, whatever they are. So let's see. So is that your favorite era of history? World War One era?
Pretty much. Yeah. I do like other eras, but that's like the key one.
Mine is, I have two. The Renaissance in the 1500s and the 1930s.
Oh yeah.
Not the Depression so much, more like the. You also had it's ironic to me, like during the time when a lot of people were suffering, you also had some of the most creative, ingenuitive minds on the planet working on all these crazy things. Like you had Tesla, who was just doing a zillion things. You had Edison, who was doing a zillion things. You had Oppenheimer, Royal Reimer, Henry Ford. You had and as much as people like hate to admit this, Hitler himself. I mean, you had all these big people with these big ideas moving and changing the world as a result in response to this big crisis. And it's really interesting. Like for me, I'm fascinated with the choices people made and why they made them. You know what I mean? That's a really I'm fascinated by that. So that's for me a very ideal era because right up until World War II, then once World War II happened, everything converged to there. But the choices Einstein made, the choices Tesla made, Ford made, like why did they do those things? Right? What pressures were they facing? What that to me that tells me more about who a person is. And I think you figured this out. That's kind of that's my obsession. So that's me. So why World War One? Is it why that period?
Well, I think largely because of that trip to Vimy Ridge. Because before that, earlier that year, I'd been reading a lot about Afghanistan and troops being there because there were some articles in the local paper in Cochrane about over the last couple years at that time of soldiers either coming home or who had done some very courageous feats. And then I went to Vimy and and being there when it's what's happened and how many people died and the trauma that happened there, and when you go it's super tranquil, it's very quiet and green grass and everything, and if it wasn't for the monument and the fact that the ground is just riddled, it's still it's undulating, I guess, because of all the mines and shelling. If you didn't know that, what all that is for, then you wouldn't necessarily realize that this was the site of a major battlefield. So, and I mean, I think a lot of Canadians have connection to that time. If they're second or third generation. So I had family on both sides in that conflict, so there's that link as well.
Figuring out your own story as well.
Oh, a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's the most, I don't know.
Keep it, it's okay. It's okay. Let's see here. So you get university for how many more years?
Well, I started over, so probably a while longer yet. I kind of do it year round. So 2 to 3 years.
2 3 years. Depending, and then once you get your degree, it says you're a certified genius with the letter K, right? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna keep writing, or are you gonna pursue a career like running a museum somewhere yourself? What would you like to do?
It'd be nice to work in a museum setting. I've discovered I really enjoy that. I just took the one course as an elective for heritage management, and then realized this is a perfect fit for me.
You sit up here, and then
definitely continue with the writing.
So you're gonna keep doing kids books? You're gonna go something bigger, something smaller? Because the advantage also with the initial thing is you can create multiple identities for yourself, and so you can just that deep romance I have deep inside me can come out here, and I just give a different name. You should see the look on her face, ladies and gentlemen. It is truly, truly amazing, right? I'm entertaining you, if nothing else. If nothing else, I'm entertaining you. But in all seriousness, are you going to try to go for something more literary kind of fiction? Or is there any genres that fascinate you?
I do want to move into historical fiction more. write about that era. We were just talking about.
Yeah. It's a good era to write about.
Yeah, but also fantasy as well. I find like if I hyper focus on a certain period, so like if I focus on military history for a really long time, then I suddenly am really I need a break and I go to fantasy. Like I just have these two and then I hyper focus on that and then I move back. So it's.
So what about fantasy that interests you? Is it the magical system, like the world building, or is it the actual story archetypes?
Well, I thought of quite a few ideas when I was younger for fantasies that I didn't have, the time to do, and so I'd like to do those. Like, and I guess I like the mythical world, but I like the characters, like having princes and
You like so middle age kind of like the Middle Ages kind of deal?
Like a little bit. I have one character who's a prince, and there's like this island nobody knows about on the planet that his people is from, and so that's.
You gave me a very evil idea, but that's okay. So one of my this is one of my all-time favorite things is like having a secret hideout. So if I like what if you had your island, kind of your own little getaway? I don't know, just kind of like this is my own creative head space. So it's. I told you, I take things
Oh wow, you finished
a little more lightheartedly by and large. So, but no, it sounds like you really like you have stories in your head and you have ideas and plans.
So I'd like to work on those. Poetry, I'd like to publish more of that, and it goes. I have a lot of like whimsical poems that I'd like to publish.
Fun whimsical.
Whimsical.
Yeah, for you. I mean. So, ladies, now I'm gonna say this just during this interview. She's looking at me kind of evilly now.
I'm evil.
Not evil, right? I have caused a few twinkles in those eyes. I have made her blush at least twice, and
Not anything.
no. And then there's been a couple moments where she's like, "What the hell is this?" But in an amused way, not like terrified way. It's like. I don't have anything to compute with this, but I kind of. What is whimsical for you? Like, define that.
Well, lighthearted.
Yeah.
So dragons and fairies and.
Okay.
But maybe like a crossover and contemporary too, like just like.
Yeah.
Believable, but.
Because I'm just going full circle. I'm going full circle. If it feels like I'm poking and prodding, it's because I think like this is a theory. I could be totally wrong on this, right? There is definitely someone in there that wants to come out and play, like in terms of like a sense of fun. There's a certain sense of fun and whimsy, and I could be wrong on that, but there is that sense, but there's also a sense of you're trying to find that right balance for you of how you're perceived, and I think this is maybe where I've thrown you off because I don't care about any of that stuff, right? Right, and not like I respect you because again this what you've done here is straight up super impressive, right? It's just I learned a long time ago. I can try to be like I'm not saying it's not who you are, but for me, if I try to be super serious or I try to be a certain presentation, I fail misery because it's not me. Like for me, I have to be. I'm a little. Again, I have to be a little playful, right? And I cannot do that. It might throw some people off, right? But I am who I am, right? I can't be anything I don't know how to be. So I'm going to end the interview with the hardest question I'm going to ask you, I think. Are you ready? So I'm not going to. Who is J. Neven-Pugh? And who are you? It's an evil question, I know. Who do you see yourself as? Who are you trying to become as a person? Like how do you want people to see you? How do you want to see yourself?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, I told you.
I don't like talking about myself.
I know. Well, no. I know. But that's kind of the point. That is a little bit of the point of this. So.
Can you word that differently?
Okay. For the purposes of your writing persona, we'll just go with that. For the purposes of your writing persona, how would you like your audience to perceive you? What's your goal and what you're hoping for, and what do your stories try to convey?
Well, the stories generally carry themes, and especially with the historical fiction, but even with the fantasy, like the Dragon Tale series is actually quite researched. So I guess just to take away that, there's dedication in that. Like there's like, I do a lot of research things. Like I'm not just throwing it together and saying, oh, this is great, I'm gonna go self-publish because that's easy. It's like, no, this is like a career path I'm hoping for. So I'm again serious about it. I don't want to use that word.
Yeah.
But
no, you're passionate about it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and you want this.
Yeah, and to share the story and to convey hopefully what I'm hoping the books convey, like to hopefully be successful.
It's okay. That was a good answer. It's all right. Good luck. I hope it really works out for you. I hope you sell a zillion books, and just remember me when you're rich and shameless. Right. So, on that note, tell people about your current book, whatever your latest release was, and how can people get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on Goodreads.com.
Yeah.
Just under J Neven-Pugh. So if you just Google me, basically, then that'll come up, and there's an email on there, so you can either order from myself the books.
Yeah. What's your latest book about? It's all good. It's all good.
My last book came out in 2015, so that was the third book for the Dragon Tale series, and it's listed on Goodreads. It's also available with the other books in various bookshops. So in Alberta, British Columbia, one in Ontario and one in Nova Scotia. So various places.
So in various places electronically, you can find it on Amazon or Kobo?
You can't find it electronically. There are versions online, but I have not approved them, so I would not download them.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
So, yeah.
And that was my conversation with J Neven-Pugh. Listening to this again, I was kind of reminded how quiet, again, she's very naturally a very quiet person. What is interesting, and I will tell you this, is when this conversation, the recorder would turned off, we talked for like a few more hours just about stuff. Very smart, very talented, very capable. I'm looking forward to more books from her series. Dragon Tale series is very good. She conveys emotion incredibly well. Her poetry series, 316,359 Reasons Why, is really, really sound. I really enjoyed it. She has a very... Her voice is still somewhere between kid and adult. At least in those poems with the Commander. The particular poem she does, The Commander, is fantastic. And I recommend, if you find her books, pick them up. They're very, very good. And hopefully she's not blushing too much from hearing herself on the air. So thank you very much for being on my show. This week is When Worlds Collide. So I got to be very blunt about what's coming up next. What's coming up next for me is the next live podcast, which will be this Saturday, 1 p.m., Boomtown Pub. You will get to play my board game. If you show up to my live podcast, I will be getting people from the audience to play. All the while, I'm going to be interviewing and doing some play-by-play about my game. It's going to be awesome. And that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. So, if you want to support the podcast, you can do so a bunch of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast, Podomatic, iTunes, wherever you can find this podcast. Subscribe to it, listen to it. That'd be fantastic. Leave comments. If you like an episode, you like it. If you hate it, hate it. That'd be great. I have a YouTube channel, Joshua Pentelresco. Past episodes are there. I also have My books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, The Wandering God, Courtesy of MiraclePublishing.com. You can find them there, or Amazon, Kobo, brick and mortar bookstores, you name it, you can find them. Support me there. Vote for me for the Aurora Awards. The Canadian Association of Science Fiction and Fantasies voting for the Auroras is on. $10 gets you all the material. You can come on board, take a gander, vote for them. This podcast is a finalist. The category is best fan related work. Vote for me there. That'd be awesome. Beyond that, stay inspired out there. Keep following your passions, and I'll talk to you guys soon. All right.
Josh. Shush.